The big thing we want to talk about really is in connection with Mental Health Awareness Week, which is next month. And some work we've been doing in that particular area. And we've recruited a brand new lecturer to the Academy. So I'm quite chuffed about this because I'm not delivering this stuff that's coming. We've got some other person doing it. You know who that is, Josh?
I was wondering who it was when you were saying that. I was like, what have I missed? And then it answered me.
It is Josh. It is Josh. You picked up the baton and well, tell us what you've done. Tell us about Mental Health Awareness Week and the whole thing.
So Mental Health Awareness Week is really kind of pedalled by the Mental Health Foundation. This year it's on the 8th to the 14th of May, so it's next month. So we're going to tie in a release of a brand new lecture room, which is titled the Health and Wellbeing Lecture Room. But the first module inside that is going to be on the topic of stress and how stress plays out in the workplace and in home life as well. So we're going to release that on the 8th, which ties in with Mental Health Week, Awareness Week, and really the kind of tone of Mental Health Awareness Week is surviving or thriving. That's what the foundation is focusing on, surviving or thriving. So it's not just looking at why is there so many mental health issues, it's looking at why are people not thriving. So, and there's a subtle difference there. So it's not saying that, it's not going to take a critical look at the number of mental health cases that are in the UK. It's just going to take a look at the number of people who are just kind of getting by. And not thriving, so they're just surviving. The three things they're focusing on are how many of us are surviving or thriving and the difference between the two. Why some communities are under strain and what government can do to support them to thrive. And thirdly, what step can we take to look after our mental health, building resilience to cope with the demands of life. So they're the three factors that they're focusing on between the 8th and the 14th. So,
which is incidentally the same week as the CIPD annual conference, which we've got a stand at actually. So is it the annual conference? No, it's not the annual conference because that's in the autumn. It's the CIPD Learning and Development Show or something they call that. So, by the way, if you're coming, do come and see us at the show. Come and find us on our stand. But that's the same week as this.
And so really the reason that we wanted to tackle the issue was because it seems to be gaining prevalence in the UK and in Europe in general. It's becoming more and more of an maybe not more of an issue, but it's definitely becoming more of a spoken about issue. It's coming to the forefront. People are more willing to speak about it, and so we wanted to address it. So a couple of statistics from the Mental Health Foundation that kind of drove the production of this module were the fact that mixed anxiety and depression is the most common mental disorder in Britain. So 7.8% of people meet criteria for diagnosis. And that amounts to over 5.1 million people in the UK alone. And another big statistic is that mixed anxiety and depression is estimated to cause a fifth of the days lost from work in Britain. So it's a big factor in the workplace, whether bosses and managers know it or not. That's what the stats say, a fifth of the days lost. So that's a big percentage. So there's tons of other statistics that we could have talked about, but that's enough there to know that this is something that is worth addressing. So we have 9 posts in this new lecture room. We're going to talk about what stress is, how we identify stressors. We're going to start to tackle people's personal stressors and issues. And then we're going to look at ways of managing those and coping with them through various mechanisms that are appropriate and helpful. So we really think that this will be useful and is a prevalent issue at the moment. And we'd encourage you to go and find that. So I can show you, in fact, where that's going to show up. So at the moment we have our Lecture Room 1, Learning Leadership, on the screen if you can see. Lecture Room 2, the Complete Management Programme. And then underneath that, Lecture Room 3, Health and Wellbeing. And that's where inside here the new content will be situated. So we've got 9 posts here. So that's the new, and alongside that we've actually got some new blogs in the blog section.
Absolutely. So again, coinciding with Mental Health Awareness Week, we've launched a number of blogs. They're in the Academy blog. You can find that via the link within the Academy. They're also in LinkedIn. We set up an iManage Academy page actually within the iManage Performance Limited section of LinkedIn. So some of those posts are there too. So useful just in terms of context and thinking about the whole topic. And maybe, if you're in HR and or L&D, so kind of thinking about how you might capitalise on focusing on mental health awareness that week in your own businesses.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's some resource there that might be helpful to you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So pretty exciting, really. Josh quite modestly says 9 posts. I mean, there is quite a lot of work there. I don't know how many hours there is in that lecture room, but it's not a small module.
No. It goes into quite a lot of detail and depth, and I'm sure that for the layperson, it will reveal quite a lot of new information. Which is helpful. Information is key.
Yeah.
It's all about awareness. It's about understanding the problem
and
then understanding how we might tackle those issues. So I'm sure that there'll be plenty in there that will inspire people to think and be new for them.
Now, so just help us out here, Josh. Is this useful? I mean, clearly, I guess, if I'm a manager who feels I'm suffering with stress-related issues or anxiety, I guess, in the workplace, then this will be very appropriate to me. But is this also appropriate if I'm a manager who doesn't feel that I'm in that place? In what way is that helpful to you then?
I mean, absolutely. And the whole way through the module, I'm speaking to both the manager for himself or herself, but also on behalf of the people they're managing, and how they might recognise symptoms or signs in their people, how they might discover them if they're not obvious. So we talk about asking questions, promoting openness and honesty, and making it a safe place for them to be able to ask for help, and mentoring if they have a specific stressor that's work related, for example, public speaking. It's about adopting an environment where they can come to you and say, I'm really struggling with this, but I want to overcome it. And then you as a manager being able to coach them or find someone in the organisation who's really experienced to coach them through that. So certainly for both the manager who's struggling or for the manager who's looking at their people and wanting to support them.
Yeah, great. So that's a really nice piece of work. We're really pleased to have this addition to the Academy. As always with the Academy, everyone has access to it. So as soon as it goes live, if you're an Academy member, then you will have access to that new lecture room. And launch, when will we actually release it? So it's ready to release, but we're holding it back at the moment.
We'll hold it back till the 8th, just so it coincides with Mental Health Awareness Week. The 8th of May, it'll become live.
If this little video has been of use to you, then why don't you come and join us at iManageAcademy.com. There's a link in the description below. It's our CMI endorsed management training school that's open to anyone to come and join us.